Hello and welcome to another episode of Hypothetically Speaking, the show where we take sports topics and debate about what has happened, what could happen, and what should happen. I'm your host, Stephen Babb. Today I'm joined by a panel of Andy Chase, Anthony Williams, and Brian Nelson. Our topics today will be the NBA and what has happened so far in free agency. We'll also discuss the NFL and the young quarterbacks that are going to be coming up this season. And then we're going to move into another segment where we talk about the DH. Should it be in both leagues, the AL and the NL? So starting off with you, Andy, the NBA, in the last 48 hours, so much has happened. What's really caught your attention?
There's so many different things to talk about. LeBron going to LA, DeMarcus Cousins coming to the Warriors. We could talk about Lance Stevenson going to LA, JaVale, Tyreek Evans just signed with the Pacers. There's so many different things going on, but I think LeBron to LA is the most interesting one for a lot of people because that set the table kind of for how things are going to go down this offseason. And honestly, it set the table a little late. Or a little early, because then DeMarcus Cousins comes and signs with the Dubs and kind of shakes the whole NBA up. So I'm really interested to see what happens after this now.
Yeah. So we'll take it to you, Anthony. You're a resident LeBron James fan. So what are your thoughts on not only him going to LA, but also once he's gotten there, the moves that Magic has made with the Lakers?
Yeah, because in recent decisions, LeBron's always made his decision after other pieces has moved. Mm-hmm. So for LeBron to be the first one to actually make the decision, you see DeMarcus Cousins is like, oh, well, I didn't get an offer yet, so I'm going to call the Warriors and just get on team. Mm-hmm. I think if LeBron didn't sign so quickly, then he would have waited it out, and maybe other teams would have made an offer for him. But, LeBron making the first move is just...
It's a king thing to do.
Yeah, right. Just a chess piece move.
You don't know how much it kills me to call him the king. Brian, so with LeBron signing the 4-year, $154 million right there?
Really, it's a 3-year with the player option that LeBron has just taken over the NBA, and now everybody has the player option for their second year.
Yeah. So tying up that money, though, I know the Lakers had a lot of money in cap space to play with, but LeBron, of course, is a big piece. But how do you think him taking that kind of max deal affects them able to sign other free agents?
Oh, it's now the destination for that big 2019 class, because that's what made the Lakers so interesting coming into this offseason. That most people were aiming for 2019 when there's a lot of interesting free agents like Kawhi Leonard, Klay Thompson, just to name a couple of really interesting pieces. That was the year that a lot of teams were trying to clear cap space to go after those players, to sign those players to max contracts. But it seemed like not a lot of people were ready for LeBron to try to leave Cleveland here in this offseason, except the Lakers. Lakers had 2 max contract slots. Obviously, they got LeBron, and they sort of are maintaining that second max contract spot by signing all these 1-year deals with KCP, Rajon Rondo. By the way, that cast of characters, it's like us. It is. No business being teammates of LeBron, Rondo, Lance Stevenson, McGee.
I have to completely agree. I mean, if I were to look at anybody in the NBA and think, I don't think I would sign them to play with LeBron, I think Rondo would be at the top of that list, and then I'm going to blow in your ear and untie your shoes, Lance Stevenson. It's ridiculous.
LeBron's arch nemesis, Lance Stevenson, and you go out and sign him.
I mean, that meme went on for a year of him blowing LeBron's ear.
It actually still goes on.
It still goes on.
The internet is undefeated, and they brought it back.
They should sign Tony Allen. They should sign Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah. And what's the other guy he played with in Miami and then Cleveland?
James Jones?
He's just always
Beasley.
Michael Beasley. Oh my God.
That's the next signing for the Lakers, I think. Beasley.
I think what was so interesting too was that LeBron signed a 4-year deal. No, I didn't think anyone was expecting a long-term deal out of LeBron. Everyone was expecting maybe a 1 with a player option.
Kind of like the KD deal.
Yeah, kind of the KD deal where he can kind of do whatever is for the rest of his career.
So I completely agree. That brings me kind of to the next free agency point, is there's a lot of people out there taking max deals. So it's almost like they're throwing in the towel for this season.
We forgot Chris Paul.
Chris Paul taking a max deal, Paul George taking a max deal, and it's almost like they're strangling their teams with cap space.
Yeah.
Because Houston, for instance, just lost Trevor Ariza because they can't afford to pay him because Chris Paul took the max money. So it's, I mean, in my opinion, it's almost like they're like, hey, you know what? We can't compete with the Warriors. I'm just going to start cashing checks. I mean, Chris Paul would not get a max deal on any other team. Like, I mean, he hasn't played a full season in 7 years.
And that was the whole point of the sign-in trade that he did. He could have signed last year for a max, a lot less money, not $40 million a year, but because he negotiated the sign-in trade with the Clippers, they gave him 6 scrubs. And I mean, Patrick Beverley, solid NBA player, but you know, not exactly equal to Chris Paul, but because he was still on that 1-year expiring contract, that allows him to get the super max of 4 years, $40 million. So, like, all of these players with the bump in salary cap that happened because of the TV deals, they're all posturing for that guaranteed money. And this is the NFL. It's guaranteed for these players. So, you know, it's hard to fault some players to get that.
When you're getting $100 million guaranteed,
when you're 33.
sign me up. Like,
Right?
what? Come on.
It's insane. So with the Warriors, so they just made a big signing themselves. What do you think about Boogie Cousins coming to Golden State?
I just have to say, yesterday I sat there and I just smiled for about an hour. Just nothing could bring me down. I've wanted Boogie personally as a dub for a long time. I've thought he's the best center in the league for a long time now. He's the best offensive center in the league by far. He averaged 25, 12, and 5 last year. At the center position, that's ridiculous. And then you put him with the 4 other All-Stars in the same starting lineup. It's unfair. He shot 35% from three-pointer last year. He's another splash bro.
And he's going to fit in perfectly to that
almost 7
system.
feet tall. Yeah, he's a great passer. Oh, my God.
So
that was the best signing.
He's like Bogut on steroids.
Yes.
And so what a lot of people don't realize is that this actually, the seeds for this were planted during the Olympics. Well, they were all on the Olympics team together. Steph, I think, sat out to rest that year.
It was Clay, KD, and Draymond.
Yeah. And Boogie actually said, I want to be the third splash brother, and started working on his three-point shot because he didn't have a three-point shot before that trip to the Olympics.
When he first started with the Kings.
Yeah, he did not know.
And it's something he wanted to develop. It was important to him. He knew, I think, the value in it and kind of seeing where the league was trending. And for him to be a big guy that, I mean, even if he only shoots 30% from 3, that's huge for your 7-footer to come out of the key and shoot from 3. So, Anthony, the Lakers, they've signed Lance Stevenson, JaVale McGee from the Warriors, and Rajon Rondo. What other pieces would you like to see them add to LeBron's team?
Well, they obviously need shooters because right now they have, LeBron, Lonzo, he has to work on his shot. KCP, he's a nice defender and a three-point specialist. LeBron, he's not consistent from the 3.
Yeah.
Ingram, he hasn't shown me too much from the 3. And then Lance Stevenson, he's okay.
Yeah.
Kuzma.
And I like Ingram's mid-game. Like, he's got a
his
mid-range.
game is nice.
And, I mean, you've seen what happened with Houston last year in the playoffs when all you do is rely on a 3. Like, I think it's good to have them kind of mix up inside and outside. But yeah, I would definitely like to see them make get another shooter. I mean, Jamal Crawford's still out there. I mean, that's a definite possibility for the Lakers that no one's really talking about right now because everybody kind of assumes that the Warriors may try to take him.
Yeah.
I mean, the Warriors don't need any more shooters anywhere. But, I think he could be a good fit on the Lakers. So that's going to do it for this topic. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss young quarterbacks in the NFL.
If you are interested in a career in sports broadcasting, whether you're commentating a live game
or hosting your own TV show,
or working behind the scenes, then this is the class for you.
For more information, contact Greg Poff, that's me, at solano.edu.
we hope to see you here next semester. And remember,
It's more than just sports, it's an education.
Welcome back to Hypothetically Speaking. I'm your host, Stephen Babb. So, young quarterbacks in the NFL, and those maybe not so young, but are getting their first shots at leading teams, such as here in the Bay Area, Jimmy Garoppolo with San Francisco. So we're going to start with you, Brian. You're wearing your Santa Clara 49ers hat.
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, San Francisco 49ers hat. Jimmy G coming in. This will be his first full season at the helm of the 49ers. What do you expect to see from him going forward?
Well, I don't expect perfect record from him. You know, he's not going to be the LeVar Ball, undefeated, never lost. But he's going to still be that leader that they traded for. And I think that trade couldn't have gone any better for the 49ers. They took a flyer on him. Like, they've been interested for him prior to last year's draft, and they finally got him at the trade before the trade deadline last year. And just him being in that starting lineup really revitalized that offense, turned solid players into really good players. Like Marquise Goodwin wouldn't have gotten the money he got over the offseason if it wasn't for Jimmy Garoppolo. So the confidence that he instills in an offense, getting a whole offseason to really digest that complicated playbook of Kyle Shanahan, I think Jimmy Garoppolo, this is going to be another step forward. But scarily enough, I think next year is definitely going to be the year that Jimmy Garoppolo, you'll see the most potential out of him once he has 2 years under that Kyle Shanahan system, and you might see a Matt Ryan type of season.
So you're talking about a 2020 season or 2019?
What
2018. So 2019 season.
2019,
so after
yeah.
it'll be a full season and a half that he's had under Kyle Shanahan. And I couldn't agree with you more. And I think what happened when Jimmy came in, you could really see what a quarterback does to your offense, because they didn't add any new pieces on offense. Like, these are the same pieces that they pretty much have had, at least for the first half of last season and even going into the season before. But when you get a good quarterback that comes in and a strong leader, he changes everything on your offense. I mean, he's 7-0 on the 49ers. It's ridiculous. If you would have told me at the beginning of last season that the 49ers are going to finish with the same record as the Raiders, I would have told you you're crazy. There's no way. But here we are.
Sorry, Anthony.
And so, I mean, here we are, though. Like, that just kind of shows the difference. Now, talking about the Raiders and Derek Carr, he's not a young quarterback anymore, but there's definitely a lot
He's 26. He's young.
Yeah, but he's had a couple years in the NFL. He's been around a while. He's
definitely not a rookie.
No,
he's seen his fair share.
But we can't call him kind of. We can throw him in this conversation because now they have a new head coach in John Gruden. There's a lot of pressure on the Raiders to really perform this year. They got what they've always wanted since 2002, John Gruden back.
Right.
So what do you think the difference, the impact Gruden's going to make on the offense and what Carr is going to be able to do this year?
Well, John Gruden is known for really making quarterbacks really great. Like, he did it with Rich Gannon, which was the main reason why they brought back Gruden, because they know what he can do with quarterbacks. Also, they have Greg Olsen back, and the job he did with Jared Goff is just outstanding. So those two together, and John Gruden is calling plays this season. So the play calling of John Gruden, along with the mentoring of Greg Olsen, Derek Carr is going to have a phenomenal year. And the key piece is supposed to be Amari Cooper, so look for Amari Cooper to have a bounce-back year.
Yeah, I would definitely expect him to have a breakout year. And last year, the offense of the Raiders kind of seemed out of sorts for most of the year. Like, there was a lot of confusion. Derek Carr was injured, which a lot of people don't really talk about and factor into his play. He was definitely, seemed to, at least to me, behind the line gun-shy on some plays, whereas the season before, when they had a great season, you know, he would hang in that pocket and wait to make the right pass, whereas last year, it kind of just seemed like he almost like Kaepernick, one read and go, and go. And so staying kind of in California and on the West Coast, what do you think about the Rams and Jared Goff?
Oh, Jared Goff had, to me, an abysmal rookie season. And then he comes out and just has a phenomenal sophomore season, which for a quarterback is so difficult to do, because the sophomore season is usually the sophomore slump, because so many players, all of a sudden, all the teams have 16 games on you, and they know how you play. They know your tendencies. So for him to come out, I mean, Sean McVay helped him out tremendously. I'm going to give all the credit to Sean McVay. Yeah. I'm not the biggest Jared Goff fan, to be honest. I don't think he's that great. I think, I'm blanking on the running back's name. Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley helped him out so much. That guy is a beast. But Sean McVay is one of the best offensive minds in football. I would say second to Kyle Shanahan. But he comes out and he throws 28 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, 8 yards per attempt. That shows you something. He had 100 passer rating to finish the season. That's solid.
Yeah.
So I think the Rams have a lot to look forward to in the future with that insane defense that they have right now. And their offense is just incredible. But if we want to talk about young quarterbacks in this league, we cannot forget about Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz. Those two dudes are going to be the future of the NFL. I've never seen talent like this so dispersed around the league at the quarterback position.
I agree.
Usually, for the longest time, it was Peyton and Tom, and it was basically the Colts and the Patriots, and that's it. And then Drew Brees was in there every once in a while. But now you've got just an abundance of quarterbacks. Like, the fact that Marcus Mariota isn't even talked about anymore as, like, an elite quarterback is pretty funny because he was supposed to come into this league and be great.
Yeah.
And now you have Carson Wentz, a guy from North Dakota State, comes out and throws 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in 13 games. He won 11 out of 13 games. He could do so much with his legs. Deshaun, the same thing. Deshaun comes out in 7 games, throws 19 touchdown passes. And these guys are just something else. I've never seen quarterbacks that are dual threats like them. They're all Russell Wilson status. Football has never been this exciting to me. I'm so excited for this next season.
The defending Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, they've got kind of a big kind of dilemma on their hands. They've got Carson Wentz. They also have Nick Foles, who just won Super Bowl MVP. I mean, Nick Foles is a proven quarterback in this league, and it would be great to see the potential of Carson Wentz. Because I agree with you. I think he's going to be a beast in this league. But I mean, do you sit your Super Bowl MVP, the guy that helped you?
Absolutely. You sit your Super Bowl MVP every single game that Carson Wentz is not injured. That dude is such a talent that you can't sit him. What he did for their team, he was the MVP of the league.
Yeah.
There was no doubt about it. Nobody else was going to get it. Carson Wentz was going to win MVP, and then he got hurt. So I think you can't play Nick Foles over him.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree. I think it's an interesting problem that the Eagles have. Brian, what do you think about moving forward? Do you trade Foles? Do you keep him on your bench? I mean, right now is the height of his value. Like, he's never been this valuable to maybe trade away and get some pieces for Wentz. Or do you? I mean, backups are huge. Wentz went down and got hurt last year. Foles won you a Super Bowl. Do you kind of keep that in your back pocket? What do you think?
I think as you have him under contract, you just wait and you hear the offers. And if an offer blows you away, you pull the trigger and you trade him. But ultimately, I think the NFL knows what Nick Foles is, and he's a system quarterback because he's been in multiple places enough with different systems that they know what works and what doesn't. Because McDermott was the offensive coordinator under Andy Reid when Nick Foles had that amazing season. And then he signed that big free agent contract to go to the Rams, nothing. Went to the Chiefs, nothing. And he went to the Chiefs as a backup with Andy Reid to sort of revitalize his career, and it did exactly that. He went over to the Eagles when McDermott got hired, or not? Is it McDermott? No, it's I'm thinking it's Sean McDermott, but it's
Who are you talking about?
the Eagles head coach.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Whoever he is.
We're West Coast over here. We don't really care.
Sorry. You are the former offensive coordinator under Andy Reid, and you're doing a great job. I will learn your name eventually.
See, I mean, it's not even September
You
yet.
won a Super Bowl, and I still don't know your name, but, 2, maybe.
Yeah, it's second Super Bowl. We'll know your wife's name. until that happens. But that's going to do it for this segment on Young NFL quarterbacks. When Hypothetically Speaking returns, we're going to take a look at Major League Baseball and the DH debate. Should they spread around from AL to NL? Should they get rid of it completely? And we'll kind of discuss what we think the NFL should do. And we'll be joined by Soad Balazi to help us do that when we return. Welcome back to Hypothetically Speaking. For this segment, we're joined by Soad Balazi. Soad, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to discuss the Major League Baseball dilemma of DH, NL, AL. What should happen? Soad, we'll start with you. And, what do you think?
I love how you said dilemma. In my opinion, it's not a dilemma. I am 100% against the DH being in the National League. I'm an NL girl. I'm a Giants fan. I love all of baseball. Like, I watch baseball, but I don't like Rob Manfred trying to change everything. He's trying to make the pace of the game quicker, which I understand. He got rid of the walk. He's putting a pitch clock on or in the majors. I get that, but just putting the DH is going to take away the fun for me, at least. I love seeing pitchers getting into the box and taking their time and like perfecting their swing. I want to see Madison Bumgarner hit a home run. And for example, Michael Lorenzen from the Reds hit a grand slam, and that was his 3rd home run in the week, and he's a pitcher. I want to see that. I want those cool facts. I want the Reds to go into an American League and want him to be the DH and not have a bench player. I want to see that.
Yeah. And
Can I say something?
Sure.
But if they had a DH and Madison Bumgarner was your DH every single day, like Shohei Ohtani, would that not entertain you even more?
But Shohei's hurt now. Like, you can't.
That's true.
To be able to
He can't
use your
pitch,
ace.
but he can hit.
Yeah, but they're not going to hit him. Like,
But he could is like the topic right now. That's kind of the discussion.
Yeah, but they're not.
The only reason why Shohei Ohtani is like the big name when he was coming in from Japan was because he's a two-way player. If he was just a pitcher, I'm sure he would still get the credit, or if he was just a hitter, I'm sure that they would still be hyping him up. But the reason why he was getting all that attention from across the country, across the world, was because he's a two-way.
A position player and a pitcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I don't think the NL should have a DH. Madison Bumgarner to start last year in opening day against, I believe it was Arizona, hits 2 jacks. Like, that's
Block
insane.
taking Clayton Kershaw deep.
So in 2015, there were 2 series that the Dodgers came in. I know Greg Poff is going to hate me bringing this up, but there were 2 series where the Dodgers came into San Francisco, 2-day games, Bumgarner versus Kershaw, both games in both series on Wednesdays. And Bumgarner takes Kershaw deep both times. And in fact, the second series, the Giants blanked the Dodgers the entire series, which means Bumgarner in one game outscored the entire team of LA for 3 games. Like, you don't see that in the American League because they've got a DH. Andy, what do you think?
All right, what I think is that the DH makes everything so much more interesting. You guys are talking about certain specific moments that happened so few times. You guys are talking about like 1 home run here, 1 home run there.
Because Red Sox
DH
did it yesterday.
hits a home run every game. Every game. No, maybe not. I'm sorry, every day.
Not even once a week.
Every day.
Not even once a week.
Every single day, I bet you a DH hits a home run on one team. That does not happen for a pitcher. So it's like that is just not interesting to me to watch a pitcher go up there and strike out or hit a pop-up or hit a ground ball when you know it's going to happen every time. You guys talk about certain pitchers, but there's about 4 of them. And it's like all these other dudes, great pitchers. That's what they're supposed to do.
Listen, if you're going to try to make it into the major leagues, you have to hit, you have to pitch.
There's
so many players. Yes, you do. Because there's
not.
players who can't hit curveball, and guess what? They're in the minors.
Yeah.
They're not up
They're
here.
not getting called
if
up.
you can't hit, you're not in the majors, period. Even if you're a pitcher. Because in the National League, you have to hit. Listen, Andy, you're biased because you're an American League fan. I'm biased because I'm a National League fan. But I can check my bias sometimes and learn that the DH doesn't need to be the National League.
I just want to know.
Thank you.
The Oakland A's have a ton of great pitchers, and none of them hit.
Great's
and they
an
all have a
overstatement.
job. They all have a job. You're talking about
In the
players
American League.
have to hit. They don't have
But
to
it's
hit.
baseball.
It's baseball. I understand that, but we're talking about entertainment here. That's the entire argument. It's about entertainment.
Is it not entertaining
We should get rid of Bryce Harper because he's hitting, 204?
Exactly.
Get rid of Bryce Harper. He can't hit. He's not entertaining enough.
Nope, gotta go.
Bye, hair.
That is completely. Now you're just taking things way out of pocket now.
That's your argument.
My argument is the fact that a bunch of people who suck at hitting, they can't do it. You're going to force them to do it because that makes baseball more true. That makes baseball more. It doesn't make baseball more fun. Baseball's more fun when people are scoring. When you're watching a pitcher,
That's not true.
When you're watching a pitcher
1-0
blow
score
out
is
a team,
interesting. A pitcher's
that is
duel-
not that interesting unless you're cheering for that pitcher.
Pitchers, you can bunt. You can do all kinds of stuff. You got to learn the game of baseball. Like, right?
I
You gotta
understand the
learn
game of baseball. We're talking about to make baseball live on, to make it entertaining in this this rapidly changing world.
Do you know how many DHs are on the interstate hitting below 200? A lot.
Dude,
a lot.
if your DH is hitting below 200, that's not my problem. All right.
I have nothing but respect for DHs. I think that there should be a slot in the Hall of Fame for DHs. There's, DHs that have put in work. David Ortiz, exactly. But you
Albert Pujols.
Albert Pujols. I have nothing but respect for DHs. I love when the Giants go into a DH league and they, like for the A's, the battle of the Bay. I love seeing whether it's like a bench player getting the star, or even if it's Bumgarner. I love seeing it, but I don't want it in my league. Keep that in your league. Keep it in my league.
Keep it separate.
When the Red Sox come in, I want to see David Price hit.
Yeah.
I want to see that. That's cool.
And what Soad's saying is sort of how I feel about the DH is that I sort of like that there's half the league that doesn't have it and half the league that does have it, so that when you have the World Series, there's this whole another layer of strategy is where do you play your DH that typically doesn't play in the field?
Yeah.
How are they going to be a defensive liability when they play in the NL? And now in the NL, when they play in the AL park, now they have an extra hitter. So are their offense going to be even better than it was in the regular NL playoffs,
Exactly.
So I like that sort of extra layer where you're changing up styles between road games and home games.
Yeah.
So I like that
But
in
the
terms
thing
of
that
having
we're
differences.
also forgetting is that most DHs do play in the field. They do play both
first
balls.
base.
It's a different day in the DH because
'Cause
the DH is a lot of times just a day off for your best position players.
Exactly. And you know what? And usually the DH is not the same. Like, I know the A's will have a different DH almost every game. I mean, they're solid DH guys. They got their DH guys, but it's usually not the same. It's usually not like,
They rotate.
Chris Davis, man, you're our DH for the rest of the year.
Which, if you have a DH, Crush is pretty good.
Chris Davis would
Oh
be a
my God,
solid
Chris
DH.
Davis.
I'm going to be
no,
honest
but
here.
I know where you're coming from
Yeah.
with the whole they play the field, and I have nothing but respect for first base. They're so underrated. They always make those picks. Freddie Freeman doing the splits. They don't get enough credit. But if you could only play first base, are you really playing the field? Like, if you're DH, then we're going to throw you at first base. It's like Buster Posey. They're trying to think, maybe in the future, after catching, let's throw him at first base. Joe Mauer. You're not just supposed to, you're not supposed to throw them at first base. They're supposed to have a position.
So you're telling me to throw a pitcher who doesn't know what he's doing at the plate and watch something
He's
that's
supposed to know
atrocious.
what he's doing, though. That's my argument.
But it's baseball. It's like a quarterback not knowing the running back's plays.
But it's like,
It's part of the game. You got to know where the running back's going to
And
go.
like Steven said,
gotta know
you
how
can
to hit.
bunt.
Yeah,
You
you
can
can
like,
slap.
okay, but that's like saying, all right, let's just throw a bunch of amateur golfers in a PGA tournament, but
They're called opens.
But they can play golf, like they can hit it.
they're
But
called
if they
open
suck,
tournaments.
that's just what happens. That's golf. But that's not how.
If you're
life
trying to make
works
it
and
into
not
the
how
majors,
entertainment
learn
works
how to
in this
hit
country.
and learn how to pitch. That's all I have to say. You cannot come into a Major League Baseball perspective and be like, I'm just gonna pitch. I'm not gonna worry about hitting, because
Yeah.
what if you're in the National League?
But that makes so many great pitchers.
Yeah, and the specialization of baseball is something that some argue might be ruining it, just because there are people that only get left-handers out. There are people that only get right-handers out. Now there are people that only hit on the DH. But if you look at other sports, we don't criticize basketball players like that.
Where they only rebound.
Yeah,
or they
I'm a
only
great
score.
shot blocker.
Yeah.
I mean, they only get to a certain level, but
It's what makes sports the way it is.
Strategy.
And I agree with you. I think it should stay the same. I like the AL having the DH and the NL having the pitchers hit. I think that's so interesting.
And I think it's cool when interleague play, you
Yeah.
go into an NL park or an AL park, you gotta adjust and adjust your strategy. I think that's cool. I agree with you.
I think it's a lot of fun too, watching these A's pitcher who I've never seen hit before go up and not do a good job, but it's still kind of fun. I'm still like, hey, this is kind of interesting. What can he do right now?
Exactly. I can't wait for the Battle of the Bay Bridge series coming up, because I'm going to be at a couple of games in Oakland and San Francisco, and I would love nothing more to see Sean Manaea try to hit at AT&T Park. It's gonna be amazing.
And then we're never, if you get rid of the DH, we're never going to have a Santiago Casilla moment again where he's so far back in the box that the pitcher walks him? We're never gonna have that. Come
Yeah,
on.
like rookie of the year, where you just 2 little feet in the batter's box and
And
just.
he gets walked. It's like when they took away the walk. We're never gonna see young Miggy swing and get a base hit off a ball that's kind of inside.
Off
Come
of an
on.
intentional walk.
I do agree with you that they're changing a lot of baseball, but I think the change is happening for a reason and a good reason.
We'll see about that.
See, I understand the reasons that Manfred has behind some of these changes. I don't agree with making the changes, but I get it. You know, the game takes too long, blah, blah, blah. If I buy a ticket to a game, I want to be in that stadium as long as possible.
Yeah.
You know
I'm
what I
totally-
mean?
yeah, I agree
5
with you.
hours, great, because the wife already knows I'm not going to be home until late.
But
You know
it's
what
the
I mean?
TV money, though.
It is the
that,
TV
That
money.
really matters to
Yeah.
baseball and all these companies.
That's
so.
true.
And John Smoltz yesterday on MLB Now was talking about how he wants to get rid of extra innings completely, and he wants to put a runner on second. I believe right the 10th inning it starts.
Yeah. And then runner at third and like the 11th. And runners at
Do you
second,
know
third.
how horrible John Smoltz's ERA would have been for his career? You see, I think he's just playing devil's advocate. I think the MLB Network is paying him to have this opinion. It's kind of a Skip Bayless of the MLB, just because there's no way that anybody that's ever played the game would agree with starting off a runner on second. Like that's
Pitchers
just,
especially.
pitchers especially, because that's
especially.
an automatic point on your ERA.
No, but if you have to think about it, like he was saying, you have to have that baseball IQ kind of thing. If you're starting the extra inning with the runner on second, you're going to be worried. You're going to focus on him. You're going to lob a pitch over the diamond, and then it's going to be a base
Yeah, I'm
knock.
throwing D. Gordon on second, and any blooper flare into the outfield,
He's scoring.
I'm scoring. And then, what, game over?
That's not
No,
fair. It's like the
because
World
then
Baseball
the
Classic.
next team has the same ability that you did.
But you might
How
not.
about this? Make it a non-earned run. So it doesn't
That's what I,
affect your
yeah, that's what I was
ERA.
saying. They would probably, of course, they would make rules against this.
Pitchers might like that
don't
if it doesn't go against the
So like
ERA.
the runner at second is the non-earned run. Like if he gives up the hit and that person goes to first
That's
and
gonna-
that person comes around to score, maybe that's the earned run.
Now, this
And
is
then
really
the-
hypothetically
Yeah, this is
speaking right
hypothetically
now.
Super
speaking.
hypothetically, because I don't trust MLB to get something like that right.
No, that
Trust me, folks.
Yes, Brian.
Trust Brian. And unfortunately, that's going to do it for all the time we have here today on this episode of Hypothetically Speaking. Thank you for tuning in. I'd also like to thank my panel today, Andy Chase, Soad Balazi, Anthony Williams, who is not with us at this moment, Brian Nelson. I'm your host, Stephen Babb. Tune in next time on Solana College Sports Network.
The exponential growth from the program from my first year to my third year now, that's what keeps me coming back and keeps me excited and just like fulfills me as a person.
It's so impressive, and we every time we walk in here, you guys are doing something different. It's great. It's
Nothing but opportunities here, and we have sports to cover, we have the equipment.
Because the more ambitious you are, the more opportunities you'll have.
on-the-job training is huge.
Get the hands-on experience.
When someone asks who can do it, you know, you can raise your hand and say, I can do it. So